everybody? Scuffy here, and we just got ourselves a little update earlier today. When I say earlier today, I mean probably about 4 or 5 hours ago. Some decent changes, primarily the Death Guard, but we're going to take a look through those changes here. We're going to go through the updates as it relates to this balance patch, as well as some information as far as what's coming up in the future, and what these updates can do. I mean, how that changes the Death Guard as a whole. So, all right. So, with that all said, let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, the first thing is we have some changes, some very mild changes to the Knight's household. There's two cards, actually there's three cards here that received a change. First off, Cerastus Orlac no longer starts with an additional card. Still has the same reactor, still starts with 3 energy, still has, the medium initiative. So nothing there has really changed. But losing a card to start with is actually pretty good. I know a lot of people have said, okay, well, the Knights households have got a lot of card drawing and they're going to get their stuff anyways. That's true, but they have one less card in their starting hand to get that. That's important. That is important. It makes a difference. A lot of warlords on the surface, when you see that the changes that have taken place, whether it is Garrow, Medusan, Erlin, there's so many warlords who had started with an additional card, Numian, whatever the case may be. And as the game has played out, those warlords had that card removed from their starting hand. None of those warlords stayed at the same power level as a result of that. Now, I'm not saying that that's directly attributed to that. There was other changes sometimes within the factions that they were part of, or within strategies that they utilized, but typically that was a big change, especially for like Erlin as an example. That was key. Garrow, Numian, just having the additional chance to mulligan to get those key cards that you need in your starting turn makes a big difference. I think as far as the chassis goes, so to speak, it's a chassis. I'm just gonna call it that. I know it's a knight. I know it's a mech. It's a chassis to me. But as far as it goes, I think it's very fair. Reactor 1 starts with 3 energy, medium initiative. Okay, quite frankly, I think the medium initiative is more of an irritant to me than anything else. But that was changed. Then also this tactic was changed. House Orlac. Now choose a weapon and create a copy of it in your hand, as opposed to, I think you were tutoring a copy of a card in your deck. You weren't even drawing it directly. You were just creating a copy of it. This one's a little bit different. I don't think that's going to change it much, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, it broadens the pool, I suppose, in terms of what you could be duplicating. If you have 4 or 5 weapons in your deck, and there's actually about 13 different weapons that you can have. Now, the chance of you duplicating one of the cards that you built a strategy around is watered down. On the other hand, House Warlock can be very handy for players who don't have a full Knight's collection, or who don't have access to the epic or legendary weapons, and they just want to create a copy of it in hand. It's a one-and-gun version of the Markham Rothman, right? He's got a fantastic ability here, but he's got that on tap, whereas this is just a one-chance thing. That's okay. That's okay. A big change that I'm actually glad to see is Munition Depot. And don't get me wrong, I love Munition Depot. I thought it was great. I thought it was very powerful. I knew it was too powerful. It loses the rally effect. It just has the relentless effect now, and that is going to be big in terms of how the Knights operate. A lot of people underscore Munitions Depot is not that effective, or the rally effect was it's okay. Wrong. Just by playing Munition Depot, I've already gained value from it. If I have 2 or 3 weapons in my hand, I've gained 2 or 3 stages of value. Not to mention if it survives on my following turn. Playing a Munition Depot with a starting hand and you have a Graviton Cannon allows you to do the Graviton Cannon at 9 energy or 8 energy. If I play a second Munition Depot, 8 energy or 7 energy, and so on and so forth. It's very powerful. You're going to see Munition Depot, just a little plug. Lord Lancelot and myself had a Knight's Household duel last night. I still got to edit those games and edit those replays. But Munition Depot came in huge in those games for obvious reasons. And losing that rally effect, I think, is very important. I think it's a fair call. I expected that at some point down the road, and we finally got that, and that's fine by me. That's going to help a lot. It's not perfect. That's all for the Knight's household. There's not a huge amount of other cards that have been changed, but we're not done. Every guild has already announced, well, with the announcement of these updates, that you can expect to see another balance patch coming in before the end of the month. Now, will that include more Knight household cards? I don't know. If I had to look at a couple other cards that I would expect to get changed, I'll be honest with you, I think 2 or 3 draw cards should be dropped. Not that their ability should change. I think Ionic Flare Shield is great. I think Overtax Reactor is great. But I expect to see at least 1 or 2 of those lose the draw a card feature. In addition to that, it's possible that some of these weapons may get some plasma cost increase. Outside of that, guys, really honestly, whether you agree with it or not, in practice and execution, I found that the Knight household cards are strong. But they're not overly strong, and I think with some minor adjustments to cost of usage for the weapons, possibly even adjusting the way stun works against weapons. And I get that. I understand that argument fully. I think there's a way to work it, or maybe give weapons like like the flame cannon or like the Magna Las cannon, maybe give them siege or something. Maybe that's a smarter way to go about doing it, but either which way, I understand, and I think that the faction as a whole is okay. There's just some minor changes left that need to be done. But that's it. I'm going to go off on a tangent that's not relevant to actual updates. That's just my my calls. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. However, the Traitor Legions, the Death Guard, gets the bulk of this patch, and this is a very big patch for Death Guard, which is great because I think the last Death Guard patch that we had, I'll have to put it as an exclaimer here. I don't know when it was, and I don't know how big it was. It was not this big. I really don't think it was this big. I think the last time we had a Death Guard patch, it was like 6 cards, 6 cards at best. And none of them were Warlord related, or one of them was Mortarion. I think that was it. So this is a very sweeping card update here. First off, Chem Munition is just costs 1, right? That's it. That's just cost 1. Counterattack. The counterattack has actually been changed. The counterattack, long from the get-go, argued and lamented and cried over that the counterattack was the worst counterattack in the game, because it just healed 2 to your Warlord. Counterattack now gives +0/+1 to a friendly unit. Now, I don't know if that's much better on its own. However, as we take a look at these other updates, I think there's plenty of reason to say that that's actually fairly decent, especially for the Death Guard, who are a very hardy unit, a hardy army, right? Now, first off, Warlord Garrow, he's been changed to no longer gaining heal 2 for 2. He actually now has the ability to remove poison, like Meros, like Mortarion, and for 2 energy, he's giving +0/+2. However, he keeps the after putting a troop in play can act again. He's had that for a long time, and before his ability was just pay 2 to heal 2. Well, now he can increase his health, or increase the health and remove poison from a friendly unit. The removing poison is great. It's great in the counter matchup. It's great against Korbacks. It's great against other units who just try to gain poison from a Mark of Chaos. But the +2 health is big difference from healing 2. Healing 2 is good in of its own right, and a smart Garrow player can benefit from that in the long game. However, giving yourself +2 health is different. That is basically increasing his maximum health from 30 to 32, and then 34 and 36, and that's just if he uses that on himself. If he uses that on a frontline troop, for instance, he plays Zaggart Squad at late game, maybe even mid game, 6 energy. Boom, Zaggart Squad comes out and it's a 4/4. But then he plays, some 0 energy troops, because why not? One play unsettled populace or a fleeing populace. And then for 2 extra energy, he bumps that front line up to a 6 health or an 8 health. That's really staunchy work. Now, let's say he goes one step further, and you've got a Gizalk Terminators who are not susceptible to Ambassador Melgator, and you start increasing their health up to 10 and 12 every turn. You don't no longer have to use your Warlord to do all the damage. You can use the Terminators. That's a great ability. That's going to be devastating. I don't think it's too much. I think it's a new take, and I'm totally okay with it. And the fact that he removes poison is awesome, because first off, there's not enough Warlords who remove stun or poison in general. So it's nice to have that. It's nice to have that mix. He's a Death Guard. That makes sense thematically. But if you're giving a Warlord the ability to increase the health of their troops, a Warlord-centric, troop-centric Warlord, giving them also a built-in poison removal, which is death to a troop, is huge, because it guarantees that you're going to get the value out of it. In the same way that Meros has got wrong angels, in the same way that Meros has got heal 2 and remove poison. He doesn't have that gain again, he's just got that permanent, but he's troop contingent. He's building with that Requiem. You can't play Meros as a mono Warlord. It's just not going to work. Raven Guard 6. Vincent 6 doesn't have that, but he also, his ability costs 1 less, and he starts with an extra card. Holy cow, there's still Warlords that start with extra cards. Get your boots ready, because Vincent 6 is going to rock it, folks. He's got a leg up on the competition. No, but that's just a great ability. I like that, and we're going to see Garrow play it. I'm going to have to change my Garrow challenge deck. I think I had a Garrow, like, use your Warlord ability. I'm going to have to change that just to an actual competitive Garrow, because I want to try that out. Now, talk about another Warlord who gets changes. Here's Typhon. Wow. Big changes for Typhon. Typhon is going to swing, and he's going to swing hard, ladies and gentlemen. He before was pay 2 energy, heal 3 to your Warlord. Okay, that's nice. Now he just straight heals 2 to all of your units, which includes himself. So for the same energy, you're healing him, and you're healing your other units. Now, you're not adding health to them in the same way that Branthan could give all your troops, or early Branthan, day 1 Branthan, could give all of your troops +0/+1. That only cost 1 energy, and that was a fantastic ability. But the fact that the Orphans of War had a lot of sentenced and stealth troops, it was really overtuned. The Death Guard do not have any stealth troops, unless they get a Mark of Chaos. There's just not, it's not going to happen. They're not hiding in the trenches. They're mortaring and shooting from the trenches and marching out of the trenches into no man's land. That's what they're doing. But this ability is cool. It's great. And if you get some bodies on the board, you can keep them alive. You can keep your Meldon squads alive after your first wave, and they can just pepper your opponent, just peck at them with their little spiked hats. Just kind of, that's all they're doing, but they're doing it, and they're doing it well. I like that. I like that great. That works great with so many of the troops. I think it improves Typhon a lot, and I'm looking forward to diving into him. He still keeps the Destroyer Plague. That hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, following some of these changes here, I would say that the Destroyer Plague is even more deadly for Typhon. So let's dive into the other cards, shall we? Gelder Squad. I'm glad that this got changed. It was a backlash ability before. Give +0/+2 to a friendly troop. Now it's a rally, which actually means you have a lot more control with it. Imagine playing Geldrick Squad with Garrow on that Gizalk Terminator, and then in one turn you pump him up on, he survives, he's got 3 health left or something like that, right? The next turn, boom, you pump him up with Garrow, now he's got 5 health. Then you play Geldrick Squad, now he's got 7 health, and then you play Garrow's ability again, he's got 9 health. He's a sticky boy. And then maybe you give him like Survivor or something just for the heck of it. How do you give him Survivor? You find a way. You find life will find a way. That's what will happen. Nurgle will find a way. Fordal Squad. Now, I was hoping that these guys would gain flank, maybe become a 3/4 flank, but they gain poisonous. Okay, that's decent. The 5 health is nice. These guys, in conjunction with Callous Typhon, pretty solid. Early game, they gain the chance of being a pain in your opponent, but they also help you give that potential to combo with the Destroyer Plague if you so need it. They're unstoppable. That's great. You can boost them furthermore with Favorite of Nurgle or some other boosts. I still think Favorite of Nurgle is just a smidge overcosted. It should cost 4, but I digress. Because that card didn't change. Fortal Squad got changed. Also, Purity of Will. This isn't a big change. This is just a changing of timing. Purity of Will as a rally still removes poison from your units. Now, if you remember correctly, Purity of Will before as a rally removed poison and healed 2 to your units. However, it now has Resolution, heal 2 to your units, and Resolution is at the end of your turn. So the timing is a little different in terms of when you play it. You're not going to get that heal 2 right away. You have to wait till the end of your turn. However, it's going to happen at the end of every turn that Purity of Will survives, and that is very cool. You are essentially gaining the benefits of a troop, much in the same way that the Ruin Storm have got a healing troop with Poxbringer, or the Orphans of War have got a self-healing troop, right, with their Sergeant Korak. You have now got yourself a troop that not only removed your poison for you, but every turn your opponent has to deal with it, or it's going to heal 2 to all of your units. And you can pay 2 with Typhon and heal it for 2, so that it survives after it attacks and then heals itself for an additional 2. Wow, that's a strong card. It's not. Again, timing's a little different. It doesn't ramp up the ability crazy, but it gives it a lot more value than it had before, because before it was really kind of like, it's just a way for me to remove stun, and I get a little bit of heal. But if it survives, you get a lot more heal, and that's nice. Holgorg. Now, they increased the health of Holgorg from 4 to 5, and I think that's great. His cost remains the same. His 6 attack is decent. The 4 health was always a problem for me because he could potentially be destroyed by defensive satellites or a 2 attack ability and a tactic. It just felt understated for the cost. And then he was giving frontline to troops and poisonous. But now he's giving +1/+1 and poisonous to adjacent troops. And it's not frontline. It's not fantastic, but I'll be honest with you. You know how much frontline the Death Guard have? I mean, when the game started, they were the frontline faction. That's what they did. They had ways like to remove frontline. The Reaping no longer does that, but that's really what they were. They were frontline and center. So having a legendary who gives your troops that already have frontline is not effective, and it really just kind of put them in this weird funky place. Giving them +1/+1 is a lot better. As a matter of fact, you could argue it's a step up from Command Bunker. It actually is 100% a step up from Command Bunker. It's 1 extra energy. You get a statted troop that can attack as opposed to Command Bunker, which cannot. You're giving +1/+1 to adjacent troops, but you're also still giving them poisonous. So if they are frontline, they become extra deadly. Awesome. This is going to make this guy actually playable. Now, does he have to be in every deck? No, but if you haven't put him in there, you may want to think about it for once, because he's got something he can bring to the table. The Imperial Reaper. Oh, for the longest time, and I've said that this is a great 10 cost card in terms of how 10 costs go. 14 health frontline. But that's all it had going for it, was 7 attack, 14 health frontline. It was good for challenges. You could argue for desperate defense builds that were bringing out the Mordant as well as the Imperial Reaper. Okay, which is true. But this backlash, oh, are you kidding me? This backlash is strong. Poison all enemy troops. So first off, it's got a 7 attack, it's got 14 health. So any troops that attack it are likely going to die. But now, even the troops that don't attack it, that you're holding in reserve, that are stealthed, that are precogged, that whatever the case may be, they're going to get poisoned when you destroy this guy. You can't win either way. You will either get destroyed by the cannons, or you'll get crushed by the poisonous treads. Awesome change. Does it mean that you need to have 2 of these in your deck? Not necessarily. You can change how your deck however you want, but if you're going to go with Frontline, if you're going to play with Typhon, wow. Wowie wow wow. To quote a Christopher Walken sketch on Saturday Night Live, wow. Wowie wow wow. Shield up. Shield up. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, shield up. It's a tactic. Wow. Shield up fully heals and removes a poison from a friendly troop, and it gives it +1/+1. Before it just gave them Frontline, and I think it was fully heal and remove poison and give a troop Frontline. I can't remember because I never used this card. It was not fantastic. There were cards in the Salamander's Legion which were a lot better than Shield Up. But here again, we've got a card that's boosting stats as well as giving poison, as well as removing poison. The stat boosting potential that the faction kind of only relied on favored of Nurgle now exists in multiple cards, right? You've got Captain Hallgurg, you've got Shield Up, you could go Command Bunker if you so choose. You could boost the health with Nathaniel Garrow. You've got a lot of ways to bolster your troops and keep them alive. Now, I shouldn't have to say, but I'm going to say because I think this is important for troops like Plague Marine, as well as troops like Plague Elite. Still overcosted, considering the fact that it can be bounced by Melgator. But regardless, 8 health that can quickly become a 5 attack, 9 health, 10 health, 11 health, however many times that you pump up its health with Garrow. That's just nasty. Or a troop that your opponent has to deal with, because if they can't get rid of the 6 to 8 health unit that Garrow has boosted, or that Typhon continues to heal, this thing is going to be a pain in the keister. And you've given it Chemunition, which is +1/+1, and then you've given it Shield Up, which you've healed it and given it +1/+1. These are just different ways to play the faction, and I think that's really cool. And then also, finally, Blessing of Nurgle gives poisonous, guaranteed now, and +0/+2 to your Death Guard troops. Finally. Because before, Blessing of Nurgle was, if I remember correctly, that was the treachery card. That was the Mark of Chaos, and it would give Mark of Chaos and poison, or not even Mark of Chaos. It was just Mark of Chaos to your Astartes, or it gave +0/+2 to your Astartes. I think it gave poisonous and +0/+2 to your Astartes, but now it gives it to your Death Guard troops. And why is that good? Well, because you've got troops like, that are structures, or you've got Death Guard troops that are vehicles, like Purity of Will, which can now become poisonous. Or maybe you just want to go crazy and you want to do dreads, baby, and you want to go with the good old fashioned let's survive with Mortarion or Typhon, and let's go into overdrive mode with Desperate Defense. And you know what? I'm a Desperate Defense some Halden Tal and some Mordant and some Imperial Reaper, and then once I get 2 of those guys on the board, you're going to be like, oh, I can deal with that maybe, and then you're like, oh, really? Well, what if I increase their health more and give them poisonous, and then I've got a Warlord who's healing them? It's a slow game. It doesn't change the speed of the Death Guard at all. None of these things are gaining flank. None of them are gaining fast. They're gaining more poison, and they're gaining more health and more ways to stay on the board, which has always been the Death Guard's focus. But with the changes to Garrow and Typhon, swings it all the way around, and you can actually play these guys a lot differently and feel liberated to play them differently. He doesn't have to change Mortarion. I think he works fine as he is. Durak Rask, very simple. He's got a great ability in of itself in conjunction with little troops, whether they are Death Guard or Nurglings or Goldstone Hunters, flanking troops. Make no mistake, Durak Rask is in a fine place. he's in a fine place. He's actually probably the counter answer to Desperate Defense vehicle builds from the Death Guard. Just a solid patch. I think that's great. It was not expected. I think a lot of folks were actually thinking that the first patch that we're going to get was going to be Iron Hands. However, as I said, Everguild announcing that they were going to do another patch later this month. That's good news. And I think we can possibly, I can't say we can possibly expect, but it's probable that Iron Hands patches will be included in those. So if you are looking forward to the Iron Hands receiving a update, just hold your breath for up to 3 weeks. Please don't hold your breath for 3 weeks. No, but you can look forward to something, whether that is more Knights Household, whether that is Iron Hands, who knows what. But I think that this is just a good update. I am looking forward to diving into the Death Guard with a new take, with a fresh take. The first thing I did, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, the first thing I did was I went one step ahead in my mind. I was like, you know what, that's great. Maybe now's a good time to revisit something like the Alpha Legion that can really just like put the penalty on a faction that is reliant on troops. And yeah, it works really well. And I'm not talking traps. I don't ever. The only time I talk traps is to say stop playing traps. No, I'm talking about classics. I'm talking about pulling out all the stops. I'm talking about surprising my opponent just by playing Alpha Legion the way I play Alpha Legion. But anyways, side tangent, guys. That's great. That's a great patch update. Now, on a personal update, notice this is something I've got cooking. I did not get to mention this. I did the self plug for the upcoming video that we've got. I'm going to do game replays with Lord Lancelot and show off our Knight Household duel, which was really fun. But I've also got Blood Angels card by card I want to put out this weekend. I've got that all edited, and I was going to upload it tonight, but then this update happened, so I'm going to push it off for about a day or so. YouTube algorithm doesn't like it when you upload too many videos back to back, so I got to kind of pace the timing up there. But also I've got some technology, some hardware upgrading happening. For those of you who know or don't know, I do all of these things from my phone. I record this video 100%, edit it, upload it, everything is done with my phone. My phone app, I find an app that helps me do the camera, and I find an app that helps me do the editing, etc., etc., etc. And because I've got a phone and I've got a Surface tablet, which does not have hardware capabilities that let me stream, I can't stream. I can't stream within my lodge, and I can't share my games as they're happening. Now, I'm not a huge stream gamer. I'm not going to be up for 2 or 3 hours at a time just streaming my games. I prefer to talk about the game itself, strategies, and cards, as well as the concepts of the card game, more so than just watch me play. However, I am very excited to get this new hardware because it's going to open up a lot of avenues, I hope, for me to engage further with the game, as well as the community, with my lodge. Just being able to share those games, whether that's in Discord or maybe even doing Twitch once a week or once every other week, or at the very least when I'm doing Bar Night Legions, just be able to share my screen with the other guys of Bar Night Legions so we can kind of play, because it's always good to watch a game and, you know, enjoy yourself. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting. Plus, it's been like 7 years since I've had a hardware upgrade, and I am long overdue. So, if audio or video or anything happens in these next coming videos, keep an eye out, keep an ear out. Oh, I've got new headphones that I'm going to use with the laptop with a mic, and there's just a lot of things that brings the possibility of doing more warp chatters, hopefully easier with other players, and just being able to discuss the game and record those, whether we have visual or not, just maybe even doing like, you know, something audio wise. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited to dive into it. I'm excited to play this game following the Death Guard upgrades here. I hope you guys are too, and let's get going. let's get it done. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you're feeling about these Death Guard updates. If you like or do not like the Night House updates, please, again, keep in mind that every guild has said that we will begin another patch before the end of this month. And really quick shout out to every guild. I don't think they get enough on this. I think it's important to note that the last 3 patches that they've done, whether they've been minor or not, and when I say minor, I mean this is a pretty significant patch here. I think the last patch that we had was on December 18th, and that was 10 cards. And the patch before that was on, I'm just scrolling up here really quick, was a small patch on December 7th. So, and then then there was a patch before that minor, here it is, November 13th. So again, 2 weeks. So roughly, whether or not people remember or care to think about it, big shout out to every guild, because at least for the last 2 months, and I could go further and actually break it down, but every guild has been delivering some sort of balance patch, content patch for every 2 weeks. And that's commendable, because that's actually nice to have that consistency again, whether they are surprised or expected, whether they hit the things that we want them to hit or not. You've got game developers who aren't just, that's it, it's out there, deal with it, and then you might get a patch in 2 months. It may not be what you want, but they're investing time and they're continuing to update the content every 2 weeks, and that's the least that they could do. It's the most I could ask for them. Actually, I take that back, and all seriousness aside, comedy, like, the most I could ask for them is that the Imperial Fist are in the game tomorrow, and Rogel Dorn is in my first crate, and the Imperial Fist mechanics are just amazing. I could ask a lot there. But in terms of what they've done and how they're continuing to support the game, allow me to do the contest here, I don't think they get enough praise on that. And I know I personally, I say a lot of thanks to them, but even on my channel here, I don't commend them enough for what they do. I'm very glad to have the game. I'm glad that they are committed to putting out new stuff, even when they have Q&As that don't really answer any of the Qs. They don't even A any of the Qs. They still are engaged with the community, and they still are putting out content and quality that is worthy of the time and enjoyment that we give it. So big shout out to every guild. Thank you. Thank you. Keep it up. I'm looking forward to, hopefully in 2 more weeks, getting another patch, and 2 more weeks after that. You guys have done stellar. It cannot be easy updating the game this size with this many cards and factions at this point, guys. It can't. I'm not a technical guy. I don't know anything about computers. But I have to imagine there's got to be stuff that they have to work and overshoot and trouble up, and sometimes they miss those things and they fix them. But the fact is, they get to it. And that's important, because I've played games where that's it. Something doesn't work, and then you send the message and they're like, well, we're busy making new cards, so when those come out, we'll deal with it. And then that's what, 3 months, 4 months down the road. We've got game developers who are actually still making new content for us, as well as refreshing and updating and giving us new ways to play old content, and that's amazing. And I probably have talked more on this than I intended to, but I think it's needing to be said. So let me know what you guys think, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so, or share the link. Let somebody know. Check out the updates, check out the news, check out the channel. We've got more stuff coming down the pipe. Again, Blood Angels card by cards, Night Households Duel with Lord Lancelot. I've still got my Zahariel build that I want to share. Man, there's so much to do. So much to do, so little time. So little to do, so much. What do you strike that, reverse it? Is that how that goes from Willy Wonka? I'd have to take some time and go back on that. I'm gonna stop now before I break out into song about who can take tomorrow. That's it for me, guys. Till next time, keep playing Legions, and we will talk to you later. Bye.